welcome to this TTA here live from Berlin. My name is Lukas Hempel. I'm founder and managing director of Bookingkit. And I'm very excited to talk about what distribution is going to change and how Corona is going to change that in 2021 and beyond. Why am I standing here today for you? Because I'm founder and managing director of Bookingkit. What is Bookingkit? Bookingkit is actually Europe's leading software as a service for tours and activities. So we empower more than 6,000 operators in this industry to build up the inventory and then to distribute the inventory across this industry. So we connect suppliers with different distribution channels in this industry. But today is not about Bookingkit. Today is about distribution, the distribution landscape, and about tours, activities, and attractions. And tours and activities and attractions are actually the third biggest market in tourism. After flight, how to get there, comes accommodation, where to stay, and directly afterwards comes tours, activities, and attractions, which is the third biggest segment of tourism, and not only the third biggest, but also the fastest growing segment of tourism. It's roughly 3 times the size of the entire car rental market. And in this panel, I want to explore with you the distribution sides. So the various different distributors there are here today, from the marketplace side, from the OTA side, from the travel agencies, and other distributors in this market. For this, I'm very excited to have a panel up with you today of industry veterans. We are very happy to welcome today, and later on this panel, Luuc, who is president at Tiqets. We are very happy to have Ilaria, CNO and owner of Duva, an Italian-based audio guide company and attraction company. We have Christian, who is director of a DMO here from Germany and can give us a bit of insights on the German perspective. And I'm very excited also to have Claudio here, who is co-founder and CEO of the TUI Musement group. But before we start into this panel, let's quickly set the stage a bit. Let's quickly explore what actually changed and what would be our expectations for 2021. So going into this, I brought you 5 theses what you should consider while building up your distribution landscape for 2021. And this is what I want you to take out of this panel, out of this slot, is how should I actually revise, check, and do my distribution landscape and TTA for 2021. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First out of 5. There's a lot of buzz on how should we actually look at 2021. From our data, we are seeing a clear V-shaped recovery for this year. How is that possible, you might ask yourself? So this is actual booking numbers we have for Western Europe. It shows in orange the 2020 numbers and in blue the 2019 numbers. So very clearly you see that during times of lockdown, obviously bookings are very, very low. But in the second, when bookings start again, people do want to book. The only thing which hinders them is government restrictions. And then directly we see the market picking up again. Don't get me wrong. We see tectonic shifts within that market. So we see clear losers, think indoor, large group activities, and we see clear winners, think private, boat tour, outdoor activities. But what I want you to expect is directly after government restrictions have been lifted, this market will pick up again. So 2 out of 5 expect a V-shaped recovery. Following alongside this, 2nd out of 5, how should we look at tourists? Which kinds of tourists will be coming here? What you would expect is for this year to be a bit more focused on the domestic and then the short-haul travel. And maybe it will take another year till we will be being in such planes again and doing long-haul travel again. So our operators and we believe we are more looking into next year for that kind of travel to start again. And 2021 being focused on domestic and short-haul. 2nd out of 5, take care for this year of domestic and short-haul, and next year again, look in the direction of long-haul. 3rd out of 5, before we go into this discussion and this panel, is the year of the reset. What does that mean? For 2020, following this crisis, we expected a lot of defaults, both on the operator side, on the tech provider side, on all kinds of this industry. But actually, we didn't see them to that extent, which might be due to government subsidies, government relief packages, that parts of these defaults were actually delayed to 2021. So our expectation for this year would be that we see some defaults all across the industry, that we also see following that some consolidation. But where demand stays strong, it's also true that new supply will find its way. So what we expect this year is a lot of new startups, a lot of new companies filling the gap here today. So 3rd out of 5 I want to take you in consideration for this year is this is truly the year of the reset. 4th out of 5 before we start with our panel is the acceleration of offline to online. No other vertical in travel has been as offline as tourism activities. And now what couldn't be changed in 10 years changed overnight. I brought you an actual case from a large attraction we have on Bookingkit. And in 2019, their online booking share was 1%. Roughly 1 from 100 tickets was sold online. Most of the visitors preferred to just come and buy the ticket on site. Changed by hygiene regulations, by government measures, this changed overnight. Yes? In 2020, they went up to 100% online booking. You could not enter the premises without having an online booking. So when we look at this year, will it stay at 100%? Probably not. But will it go back to 1%? Not as well. And what we are just witnessing is the biggest change we've ever seen in this vertical of travel, the tourism activities vertical, with a dramatic shift from offline to online. And 5th out of 5, distribution turns upside down. What does that mean? We've seen large players who predominantly were travel brands, think of Luuc, think of Get Your Guide, to just name 2 of them, to publicly announce that they will shift from going on a long touristic, long-haul driven distribution mix, going to more domestic focus. Luuc said so during their financing rounds. Get Your Guide also said they're going to more concentrate on domestic travel again. So we are seeing large brands to change their behavior. And I'm very excited to also learn from our panelists today how they see this coming up and how they look at next year. So 5th out of 5 I want to take you in mind or keep in mind is the distribution landscape turns upside down. And this should be also your call to action to revise what worked in 2019 may not be working in 2021 again. What you thought wouldn't work for you in 2019 might work for you very well today. So that's very interesting to see. And I'm very excited to discuss these 5 theses with a panel here today in Berlin. And we have a panel of, again, industry veterans. And this panel, you can also ask questions. So where you're seeing the screen to the right, there's a Slido. So whenever you have a question, please don't hesitate to shoot a question there. You can open it to all panelists. You can open it to a specific panelist. Don't hesitate, post your questions there. I already saw the first questions coming in. And without further ado, let me quickly introduce you to this round we have here today. We have Luuc, who is president at Tiqets, a large Netherlands-based reseller distributors for the attractions and museum space in our industry. We have Ilaria, who is the true definition of industry veteran, who is running Duva, a company here based in Italy, who has tons of insight how the situation actually looks like in Italy. They do audio guides and also run attractions, so they have a good connectivity to these attractions. I'm also very excited to have Christian here with us today, who is a director at a DMO. So we can learn how is a DMO here based in Germany, southern Germany, preparing for this new situation, for this tectonic shift we are just witnessing. And then last but not least, I'm very excited to welcome Claudio here, who is co-founder and CEO at TUI Musement. Thank you all for being here, and you can be part of the show by going to Slido. Welcome.
Thank you.
Christian,
Thank you.
maybe starting with you. You're a director at a large DMO here in southern Germany. You have a good overview on how your region is preparing for the situation. Can you give us a bit of insights? I know also last week here in Germany we had an update from government regulations. Can you give us an insight? How are you looking at preparing for 2021? How is your region preparing? Are you seeing this offline to online shift?
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting me to this panel discussion. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all viewers from my side too. To answer your question, Lukas, I'm more optimistic regarding the numbers. I'd like to state that in the first time in a long time, the mood for national and international travelers has improved over the last 4 weeks, from my point of view. If you look at the latest evolution by the German National Tourism Board, you will see that more people around the world want to travel again in 2021 than in Corona year 2020. Accordingly, the intention to undertake trips abroad increases from 50% in all countries examined in May 2020 to 62% in the latest wave of surveys in January 2021. With its strong brand performance, Germany as a travel destination has great opportunities to participate in the growing desire to travel, from my point of view. In addition to the national source market, I'm confident that not only domestic German travel will increase significantly, but also the source markets such as the US market will recover much faster than we expect. Among other things, that the vaccination rate there is a lot higher than in Europe. In view of this, we are preparing for an early opening in the Black Forest Highlands in April or May. Let's see how the government will decide. And we also have implemented important measures that promise our guests the highest level of safety from corona illness. The most important measures I would like to add is that on one hand, we do have quite professional hygiene concepts at our hosts, but also corona test centers, which we are running, or also we implemented a corona app for our guests to make sure that contact tracking is easily possible. So we feel very well prepared for the reopening. And in terms of the online shift you mentioned, my point of view is that our guests expect an all-in-one digital solution to access all relevant information in the destinations about their trip before, during, and after their trip. And that must be very easily to access from their side. This can only be achieved by providing a guest portal in the form of an app in which the guest can, for example, book and reserve their excursions before their trip. Exactly the same applies during the trip. Here, it must be possible that the destination can give the guest the latest tips and hints of the day, for example, for events or hiking tours, which are tailored to its target group and which can be booked immediately. So from my point of view, this requires a great integrated digital strategy that fits into the corporate concept for tourism and destination strategy, and that clearly defines the interaction between all corporate areas. And to answer your initial question correctly, yes, for us, the online shift is the most important task that we will work on for the next few years.
Taking this offline to online shift in distribution to a segue maybe to you, Claudio. And I know from our previous conversations that TUI is obviously in its heritage very much on the offline world. And one of your ambitions, your objectives is to transform this organization and also enable the online world. So can you tell us a bit how this changed last year, 2020, coming out of this TUI world of offline, going into an online world? Can you tell us a bit how you saw that in the past and what would you take from that for 2021?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. And so indeed, the whole industry, I think, has experienced and still is experiencing a very strong acceleration towards online. And what we have seen last summer is quite evident on this regard. Clearly, though, I also think that this is a circumstantial trend in some ways that has yet to be fully understood. we don't yet have such a strong evidence to say whether there will actually be such a drastic shift from offline to online, at least when things will start to recover. I think that this is also very much a question on the type of market and above all, the type of travel. I think the needs of customers will still be very different and linked to the type of experiences that they will look for. What is certain, undoubtedly, is the need for everyone to be ready. From our point of view, specifically, for example, we are trying to enable all types of channels we connect to in order to make any kind of sale as smooth as possible. Our funnel, as well as our offer, is designed to be different depending on the different type of customers that we have. And our customers can be direct users, as well as professional operators, users managed by third-party platforms, or, which is something very typical in the TUI ecosystem, reps in destination. So that being said, thinking about what we have experienced during the summer of 2020, when people could still travel for a few months, online definitely played a very central role, for example, through an increased use of mobile devices. And I certainly think that this is something that we will definitely have to get used to for the months to come, and most probably getting closer than expected to what has already happened in Asia. We know that for the travel industry and specifically for tourism activities, this was not yet something that was quite similar to what was happening in Asia before. What seems, though, to be very clear is the incredible need for everyone to travel. So the great challenge for everyone will be the capability to intercept this need according to the new logics that are difficult to predict. Again, the prediction is something that I think can be based on many data, but not yet on what will actually happen, because this is very much linked to the basis of the reopenings, how reopenings will actually be very different from country to country, the different security devices depending on the destinations, the need that we have to guarantee the customers in terms of transparency and informative real-time updates. So definitely this cannot be done without a very online-centric, digital-first approach. But again, as we do not have yet the opportunity to analyze the phenomenon as it will be, maybe it is interesting to quote from my side a research that I found very interesting, conducted by the United Nations about COVID-19 and e-commerce. In which they examined how the pandemic has changed the way consumers use e-commerce and digital solutions. The panel, by the way, included also countries like Germany and Italy, besides many other countries from South America to China. And the results showed that the COVID-19 has forever changed online shopping behaviors. It has accelerated very much the shift towards a much more digital world. And among the results, it was quite interesting to see that more than half of the survey's respondents now shop online much more frequently than before and rely on internet for news, health-related information, and obviously digital entertainment. So I think that based on those type of evidences, before understanding how the phenomenon will be like in the next few months, we can definitely say that this is happening. Although, again, I'm much more cautious when we say that this will look like what we are thinking, because we may be still very much biased on what is happening at this very moment, and this might change very dramatically again in the next 6 months for whatever reason. So we need to be very flexible, also based on the thinking, based on the approach.
Thanks, Claudio. Quick follow-up. I know our like the people watching are desperate to learn how is the data you're seeing. You quoted some studies, and Skift recently said TUI is maybe the undercover Goliath in this industry. So do you have some first-hand data to share for us to say how does this shift look like?
Well, not specifically data, but I can say that for sure what we're trying to do now with the integration of the TUI experiences world and amusement side, which was traditionally very much more digital, is to enable, as I said, our customers, and our customers are indeed very different. So the an enabling perspective is not only for direct users in the open market, but is also about many professional operators, shops that we have, for instance, within the TUI ecosystem in many countries where we operate as source markets, and users that are managed by third-party platforms to which we're connected, reps in destinations, and for sure, even for those channels, what we're trying to do and what we have been trying to do in the past months during the pandemic is indeed to be more and more digital. But digital, again, does not mean that everyone will be using the online world. I'm not saying necessarily this. It's something that needs to be understood much more in detail in the upcoming months. What I think is digital for us is the enabling factor.
Before we go to Luuc, who is, I guess, the spokesperson for the digital world on this panel, I want to quickly touch with you, Ilaria. You know the situation in Italy. We heard about the situation from Christian in Germany, expecting a start in April, May. How does it look in Italy?
I've got enough for half an hour anyway. And at the end, we'll do that kind of quick fire round, whoever came up with that idea. I've done my very best to surprise you. We'll see. It's not that exciting.
Sorry, kept the minute. No, so I was saying that Italy looks like Germany. We hope to open in May. We were expecting to be able to open for Easter time, but as you may have heard, we are maybe going towards a lockdown. So the situation is quite bad. But I think that summer will replay what happened last summer, that I think it was a trailer of the new approach to digital as a way, as a channel to book. Whatever I have felt is that people now got used to booking. People got, in the previous time, in 99, people were more used to get into a place and ask for what was available. While now there is a strong trend to book everything. I give an example. Last August, we reopened the Pantheon in Rome, where we just opened. We have few services there, but we decided to open just the rental of the audio guide, and we were able to raise 1,000 euro per day of income, and 900 euros were booked online, booking audio guides, which is something that you find there. It's not a human guide that you have to reserve. And another thing that happened last year, we set up a visit service of the island of San Giorgio in Venice, together with Bookingkit, and we worked very well on the content that we were proposing to people, and we set up the booking system through Bookingkit, and we got more visitors in 2020 than in 2019, thanks to the content we were offering to people, and thanks to the fact that people were able to book them. So I think that this crazy thing, this disaster that happened because of coronavirus,
Thank you.
will move the approach to people and will make us able to rise the income. So I'm sure that after what we have done during that 2020, in 2022, not 2021, we will have more income than in 2019 because of this new trend of people to be oriented to book
Maybe
online.
taking this, Ilaria, taking this to, I learned 90% of bookings Pantheon for audio guides online. Let's take it to the specialist for online in this round, Luuc. You are, I guess, the spokesperson for the digital world with Tiqets. You are focused on digitizing museums, attractions. What should I, as museum attraction, keep in mind when looking at my distribution mix for 2021?
Yeah, great question, and it's too much honor. So I think it's no rocket science, right? First of all, get and be online present, and that's something we experience is not a general thing. So make sure you're visible, because otherwise your local first audience, regional audience will think you are closed. People are used indeed to book online, and if you aren't able to do so or able to do so in the right way, then people will not book with you and they will pass you to a competitor or just walk on the streets. And I think then also go for the demand which is right, kind of besides local, and that's the regional. So work with the DMOs and work with the whole ecosystem, right? The DMO is there to market the region, and they are there to help you to get visitors and work on technology where you enable the whole regional ecosystem also to sell you. So I think distribution channels were in the past more international oriented, but are now more regional, local oriented. And I think, if we have that demand also in our places, I think that's already a huge amount of demand which comes in, I think, in summer. We see already in the US 200% growth based on 2019. So it's already there starting. So I expect a huge summer, which is ahead of us in Europe as well. And then, if we have that demand as well, then we are at driving distance. And then work with partners that can add value based on those markets, right? If you are in the Netherlands or in Germany, I think work with Get Your Guide, with us, with Musement. If you are an operator in China, work with a Luuc and a Ctrip, right? It makes sense to choose wisely to those ones that add value and brings customers which you can't find with those channels I mentioned before. I think those are the core things you should work on defining your distribution channels.
Thanks, Luuc. I love it. Closing this panel with very actionable advice. I know there's a couple of questions on Slido, so this conversation continues in the TTA forum. You'll find some of the speakers there. You'll find us there. So we continue the conversation. You can click to the left on the itbnow.com platform to the cafe. You can log in there. There you can ask your questions. There were a couple of questions from David. I saw it from Veronica. Bear with us, and we'll take the conversation there. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks, everyone on the panel, for being with us here today to help us navigate through the situation. And greetings to and from Berlin. Have a great start of this ITB.